place, the adrenaline in that officer as he's receiving or she's receiving this call over the air is going to rise, because they're going to think that something violent has taken place. And so that may actually impact how the officer arrives at the door. But if you report it as, just can you check the conditions of that house? Then the officer tends to come in at that level. And sometimes just a little knock on the door. And these are the type of calls that we receive on a regular basis anyway. Mm-hmm. And you knock on the door and hey, just got a couple of calls, and people can remain anonymous also. You need not report to the police who you are or where you live. You can just say, hey, listen, I'm close to a house. This is the number of the house, or it's 4 houses down from this particular house, and I wish to remain anonymous. You have a right to remain anonymous when you're reporting a concern. And that's really what it is. It's a concern. You're not reporting a crime.
And that's important for people who say, I just want to mind my business. I'm not trying to be up in anybody else's business. Go ahead, Dr. Swift. I see your
You're hitting it. That's exactly. I think what the lieutenant is saying is absolutely appropriate. It's the right thing. But often what we see is that bystander effect. Right? That maybe somebody else will get it, or if nobody else is interested, maybe I shouldn't be interested. And so people hold their hands and people don't do anything. Everybody's listening to the screaming, everybody's listening to the noise, but nobody does anything. So in terms of community responsibility, when you say community responsibility, my first thought is not police. Sorry, Lieutenant. But it's not police. It is the people who are in the community. And so we have to stop being so afraid of one another. Our communities are so fractured. We're fearful of one another. We don't want to know what's going on in someone else's house. And so in order to kind of, if we want to put onus on ourselves, the onus will come with the responsibility and the duty to get into those uncomfortable spaces and to respond, even though, there might be fear. What will they think? What if I'm wrong? But it's just, hey, I care, you matter, and I thought something was wrong.
Aziza, I want you to jump in here, because you experienced an abuse and you experienced it for years. And that, while both the lieutenant and Dr. Swift are both saying the right things, what happens in situations like yours?
Well, I've been in that exact situation. When after the last time my father raped me, actually it wasn't the last time, but after I got pregnant for him the last time, one time he raped me, I was about 7 months pregnant, and he had beat me up on the front lawn, and a neighbor saw, and he took me inside. I hit the ground. I curled up to protect my belly, but he just attacked me because he was jealous over someone that he thought had come on to me. So we went into the apartment, and police came knocking on the door. And when I opened the door, he instructed me to open the door. He stood right behind the door, and they asked me, was I okay? With the abuser right here at my face, how can I answer? Is the police officer going to respond quick enough before he does something? Mm-hmm. So at the time as a victim, you tend to make the choice. It's more about the proximity of danger. These are complete strangers outside of the door. So while, yes, Lieutenant, I totally respect what the protocols are, but my concern is how trained that officers are in dealing with a situation like that. You have the ideal situation. It's very easy to respond according to the book. But when you have something like with my situation, when the abuser is right there in the face, or, the abuser is a parent for a child, how do you contact that child? It's great to be a concerned family member. It's great to be a concerned neighbor. But when it comes down to actually being effective, I think that's where a lot of the insecurity lies. Even for when people think they want to do something from, the kindness of their heart, well, how do you, one, not exasperate the situation, because there's a possibility that you will irritate the abuser and they'll take the abuse a step further? Or how do you know that your actions are even going to have an effect? So I think that that is a huge question, especially with the state that we are in now, the state that our communities are in now. How do you interject? And, extremely cautiously. And I think it takes a lot of information and a lot of education. Our communities need to be educated on these steps and how to not contribute to the damage. And I think I don't know if any of you have seen it, one video that is circulating is the abused woman calling and ordering pizza, right? When she's trying to help herself, and she calls the police and she orders a pepperoni pizza, and that's supposed to be the sign that she needs help. I don't know, Lieutenant, is that something that, the officers or the precincts are training? Is that something that's commonly known? We know that it's something that's going around on the internet, but are those steps that are actually taught to our police officers?
Right. So thanks for that question, because that is an area that a lot of people are concerned about. When does an officer know that something is actually wrong versus an error? One of the policies that we follow in our police department, for instance, is a 911 hang up. Right. So you get a 911 call. In our communication system, that telephone number generates so that the dispatcher sees the call. If a person dials 911, dispatcher answers the phone, person hangs up, dispatcher calls back